down.
I put my head down.
Take my hand. Baby, how you feeling? Yes. Welcome back, marketing nerds of the world. It's time for another episode of HAMYAW, and today we want to talk about the question we've been getting asked a lot by prospects who work with us in a coaching capacity, in a brand capacity, in a creative direction capacity. And this is the question of, can I have a successful business if I don't want to be an influencer? Bum, bum, bum. So Margot and I are at a little bit of an impasse in terms of our opinions here, and I can't wait to dig in personally. But before we do, Margot, how's your influencer life today?
Listen, I've always wanted to be an influencer, so
Yes.
Y'all at me, bro, please. I will sell all of your Tupperware.
Done.
I will dance around in my bikini. No,
Done.
okay. So we'll talk. I'm going to let you talk about what an influencer actually is, but I'm going to go ahead and take my stand on this, which is you absolutely do not have to be an influencer.
Mm-hmm.
You can run a business in many ways. Nobody knows who the CEO of like Uniqlo is. And Uniqlo exists as a brand. Now, I think we should caveat this conversation as service-based businesses. And I think people, at least the questions that have been directed to me, tell me if you've gotten different ones, are around digital products.
Yep.
How do you sell digital products and services and agency stuff without your own personal brand being front and center?
Mm-hmm.
It is an absolutely fair question. It makes me angry because I think a lot of people have taken courses where they're told this is the only version. And along with this comes the requirement that you must produce content at scale that attracts people to your conversion optimized website, gets them on your email list where you continue to upsell them. And it's a beautiful model that works for many, but that doesn't mean you have to do it.
Yep.
I can go on for hours on this, but go ahead and state your claim and then we'll fight.
I'm going to say that as somebody who's been called an influencer once or twice, who doesn't necessarily feel like one, when I think influencer, I think... Hey, yeah, there we go. When I think influencer, I think Kim Kardashian. I think people selling tummy tea. I think people who are there every day with their little bags and they're posing with the 1 foot out and they do the pose where they stick their butt out to make their waist look smaller. And don't ask me how I know these things. But I think there's a lot of negativity around that kind of influencer culture for sure. And I think in our corner of the internet, I think there's a lot of disdain for influencer culture, despite the fact that it is kind of, for some of us, an essential component of their business model. That doesn't necessarily mean that they are doing TikToks every 3 seconds, constantly taking awkward photos for the gram at the museum, that kind of thing. All the things that annoy us about influencer culture, which I believe in the UK is jokingly called influenza culture. I didn't email about this if you've been on my list for a while, which I think it's an amazing joke because they're a sickness. But overall, I think that people who are questioning the influencer step, sometimes there are folks who just have no interest in doing it, but I think there are other folks who do it because they think people are going to make fun of them. They think it's going to be awkward. They think they're not good enough to have a platform for themselves. And to those folks, I say, if you want to speak, if you want to teach, if you want to have a funnel from social media into your offers, if you want to build a platform, is it necessary? Not necessarily, but it helps.
Well, okay, no, this is a really important distinction. So where I was going was, if you don't want to be front and center of your brand, you do not have to be. There is no law that says you have to be front and center. But if you are the company, then there is no avoiding it. So like Hillary and I have built companies around our personalities. So it would be very difficult to disentangle the two, including this show. It doesn't work if it's not us. But
can you imagine?
That's a choice. And so I think you're right in that if the reluctance to being an influencer is coming from a place of fear, that's different from it coming from a place of sincerely, I'm not interested. Because I've worked with people who they are masters of being behind the scenes. They are comfortable there. They're not afraid of being front and center. They're just not interested. And I think for that, we were talking about this offline. I think for that, like there are other approaches to business. And I like to quote Michelle Warner on this, that we're just lacking creativity and thinking about, like, you don't have to sell a course through your website with your face on it. There are so many other ways to sell a course if we sit down and think about your pipeline and what you want your pipeline to look like and what name you want to use to productize your product and to brand it and to how you want to position it in the market, whether you want to white label it, whether you want to take it direct to consumer, whether you want to do like B2B partnerships behind the scenes. Like I have, and you have tons of friends who aren't front and center in terms of their brand, or their public persona is very different from how they make money.
Yeah.
I have a friend that runs a company no one's ever heard of, and she's known as a life coach, but that is not how she makes money. She makes money from a different type of company that is completely behind the scenes. So I think like entertaining those options is absolutely fine.
Absolutely. Do you have a couple of examples of how, you know, if you don't want to be an influencer, but let's say you want to sell a digital product, what could that look like for folks?
Yeah, absolutely. I think partnerships are a big one where you can get in front of existing audiences without having to build your own. So you find pockets, I would call them fishing holes, of where, whether it's an association, whether it's a group membership, whatever, that you can either do a workshop for, or you sell in an affiliate deal where they do the top of the funnel promotion for you and you sell your widget. So you're not putting them into a funnel, you're not upselling them, or maybe you capture their information. That's up to you then. Another way is creating one product. I have a friend that does this, and she white labels it and sells it to B2B companies. So they each use their own customized version of her creation. Then there's other people who facilitate, and they prefer to do live. So it's less of a digital product. Maybe I should not use that example then. But I think it's apropos, like coaches and facilitators that I know who don't want to build audiences or truly don't have the bandwidth and are building the business first are going directly to decision makers, them directly and saying, hey, like I can do a presentation, it costs this much, like, and then they use whoever shows up is their pipeline. So they tend to get clients from the workshops that they give.
Yeah.
So it's a less in the public. I mean, those are just a couple examples, but I think that works if you're not interested in the stuff that we're interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we talked a little bit about this on the Should You Get Off Social Media episode, another great episode. We're going to do the thing where we point and then we forgot to upload the episode card. So just look for it. You'll see it, guys. For me, I think that when I get the I don't want to be an influencer or I hate social media challenge come up, like absolutely, this is the solve, right? Like you can actually partner with people, you can borrow audiences and all of that. But I think you run a risk in two ways. Like you don't want to do something you hate that's going to totally drain you, period. But also, you know, I think on that episode, we talked a lot about the security of having that platform as well and having something you control, because when you're sort of like at the mercy of somebody else or another organization, things can change quickly. I think it's absolutely an option, but I think the security process has got to look totally different for those other folks, correct? Like how do you, I have to wonder, because this is not the way I run my business, though I do partner with people. Like, how do you stay secure at that stage? I think it's just probably having a great network, period, right?
It's your network is your security. So you're still, I think regardless, if you're a CEO or founder of a company, you're the face to some degree, no matter what. You're doing cold pitching, you're like, there's certain things you cannot get around. And I think building your own audience, I think I would not call a necessary evil for certain business models. I think they might be for what we want. I would say that you can have a profitable business without an audience.
No doubt.
They're two different things. Now, to your point, and I want you to elaborate on this, if you want an audience and then claiming you don't want to be an influencer as a way of staying small and making yourself seem better than others, let's talk about that, because that's different.
So I run into this actually a fair bit in my coaching as well. And in my applications, I get that a lot. But I would say a lot of people who claim to hate social media, often they're not using it to talk about things that they're passionate about. They're not using it in a way that gives them energy or drives money to their bank account. Like if you were to ask me a year ago how I felt about the platforms, I would have told you, and I think we probably have this on the record in an episode, that Facebook is my main platform. Twitter is where I go to like jerk off. And then Instagram is kind of my play platform, right? And then LinkedIn, I think that's exactly what I said then, and I say it now. But ultimately, in the last year, I hired a team, I got support to use Instagram more effectively and more often, and it has blown the roof off my business this year. It has been out of control as a sales tool for me. It's fun to use. I enjoy it. I'm always messing around on stories with new ways to share stuff and just telling funny stories because I find life hilarious. And Instagram is a great way for me to just talk about that.
Yeah.
I find life and business just hysterical most of the time, especially when I'm making money. That's when it's especially funny. But I think that ultimately we can cut ourselves off at the knees by making assumptions about what other people are going to think about us if we start pursuing social platforms more seriously. I think we're also concerned because, let's be real, social media can be a freaking dumpster fire. So you're getting swept up in that mix. What does that look like? How do you responsible use, just like with anything else that gives you a hit of dopamine, right? And then I think also the third piece of this puzzle is often people are nervous that they're not going to know what to say every day, that they're not going to have something interesting to share, that no one's going to find them cool or funny or clever or authoritative or expert or a specialist in anything. So then they might as well go curl up in a ball and die.
I think in addition to that, I think they're afraid of being known for something that they don't want to be known for.
Yeah, and they have to course
like there's
correct.
a secret passion somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yes, 100%. And I do this a lot with my clients where it's like, okay, what do you actually want to be talking about? What gets you excited? What are the problems that you want to solve? And this is the same approach I took to blog writing years ago. And this is what I always preach, which is that if you're not talking about the stuff that interests you, you're not going to keep up with it. Like if you're not talking about the topics that give you energy as opposed to taking it away, there's no way you're going to keep up the momentum. So I think a lot of people feel like, well, I'm getting on Instagram and I have to make sure I do my 60 bazillion killer posts, whatever the hell that is, talking about, I'm just kidding, I know what that is, where I talk about the basics and where I teach the newbies. And then maybe in 6 months when I have like 10,000 followers, then I can talk about this thing. And it's like, no, start by talking about the thing.
Yes.
Talk about your relationship to the platform changes.
Wait, I think we need to sit here.
Also getting support, that also helps. Let me tell you, hiring people to help you manage this stuff is very handy, especially if it is going to be a core part of your business model. You don't have to do it all alone.
Yes. Okay. There's some really important things here I want to unpack, y'all. Number one, sequencing, like what Hillary's talking about. It's important that it happens after you know what you're selling.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people struggle to get started in the beginning because they're not actually clear on what their business is yet.
Yeah.
And so it confuses them. And then I think there are these beliefs, to your first point, that we have to be like really on the nose. Like I hear this a lot from marketers. One of the most talented copywriters I know was telling me that they're like, I don't want to write about copy and I don't want to be like known for copy, but that's how I make money. And I was like, girl, tell me all the things.
Tell her to call me.
And when they started telling, so we dug under in the same way, and they were like, I want to dismantle capitalism and patriarchy. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And like gender norms. And I was like, how is this not related to copy? Because this feels pretty damn related. But also you can brand yourself as that type. Like I am the copywriter who talks about these things. Where we struggle, and I get it because I struggle with this too, is that we're often looking for like a linear thread between all of our disparate interests. And I think that's where, again, sequencing on like, what's my business, what's my personal, and when that all happens, but also boundaries. So like there are certain things that you're going to talk about in social media and certain things you're not. And if you're there for a distinctly business purpose, or if you're there also, like you said, to have a little bit more fun. And by the way, when we say influencer, like we're focusing on social media, but what we mean by all of this is being the face of your brand, picking a hill to die on, standing for something. Like it's not just what you promote on social media, it's how you show up in public for your business.
So final thoughts on this. I think that, again, I think the word influencer has really bad connotations, and that's part of the reason why people want to run away from it. Because a lot of people tell me they don't want to be an influencer, but also they want to have a bit of a following on social media. And it's like, well, So I think that, again, it's the connotation of the word that throws people for a loop in a big way. I think it also feels like a massive responsibility to have an audience. And in some ways it very much is. And some people shy away from that. But ultimately, I find if you want to have a business that you are the face of, if you are the face of your brand, this is part of a game in some ways you have to play, especially if you want to speak, if you want to sell courses, if you don't want to be reliant on secondary sources to sell your stuff. It's important to look down the barrel of that gun and really figure out what you want, because you can think through and get creative just in the way you can get creative with business models around how you use social media, how you show up, and what you're talking about in a way that's actually going to support you and feel good and not make you feel like an influenza.
Oh, so beautifully said. Yeah, I agree with Hillary on this. Sorry, guys. Listen, you absolutely do not have to be an influencer, but think about your business model first. So this is where I would encourage people to think about product founder fit. There's the businesses you can run and the businesses you should. and thinking about your natural disposition, what feels comfortable to you, because you're going to be doing things uncomfortably no matter what in business. So knowing what that line is for you and what kind of business you want to run, because it might be that you don't want a personality brand business.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. But if you do, and then you're coming in and saying, oh, I don't want to be an influencer, then you need to find a different way. Not a different way as in not being an influencer, but finding a way of showing up as you that doesn't make your skin curl and that feels more authentic, and then hire Hillary. That's what
exactly. There's your answer. Truly, at the end of the day, call me, y'all. For real.
All right. On that note, we do want to hear what your hesitations are to putting yourself out there, where you have discovered that you want to put your name on something, where you have either hidden behind a brand unnecessarily or turned your brand into something else and it was the right choice. Tell us all the things here in the comments below. If you like this episode, like it below, subscribe to our channel, and share it with your friends. I am Margot Aaron.
And I'm Hillary Wise.
This has been Hillary and Margot Yell at Websites, HAMYAW, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Bye for now, y'all.